Okay, welcome back, folks. This is game 2 of 3 between me and Steel. Now it's 0-1. Steel has won very decisively the first game. Despite being operationally and tactically outplayed by me, logistically, I made like a massive mistake in not properly paying attention to my builds, uh, building of the troops, basically, of the reserves. So, second game here. I'm not going to make the same mistake. So we're shuffling around the deployments. I'm trying to commit all my armor into the center because it's plains and hills tiles. As mentioned previously before, you want to avoid putting the tanks in the forest because that's where they get the damage mitigation. So in hills, they still do full damage, but they are slowed down, right? So we've stacked up all our armor here. Steel is also maneuvering his own armor in and around. I'm gonna try and get this tank that's in the forest to the south. I'm gonna try to get him out. Okay, I'm gonna speed up the game. Finally got the arrow keys working properly. So I initiate the attack. I've got the advantage in tanks. We're going in, we're attacking, and then we're instantly cycling once the morale gets low. You can afford to get the cycle the units out when it goes to max depletion, but I'm deciding to play it a little bit differently here. I want to pay super close attention to the morale and the health and just bring it down to like 20 or 10% morale and then cycle in a new unit and start getting some pushes there. So we have a very slight casualty ratio in our favor. It's now 5,000. In terms of troops, Steel is still ahead. Yep. Here comes the production. And yeah, we're now spamming out light infantry. I'm going to commit to full lights because, as I said, it's only really in the center where you can get like good plays out from the tanks. So I'm going to, even though we've initiated the battle in center, my intention is not to win in the center. My intention is actually to win in the south. May sound counterintuitive, but it's something that I've learned is that if you can get initiative in one front, in this case the center here, and then you are able to push the enemy, put him on the defensive. If you have enough fast hands, you can then make other plays on the other side of the map. And usually, most people they can't keep up with that. Um, as I talked before, the skill ceiling in terms of like APM in this game is not as high. It's probably the lowest at all. I think, yeah, it's even lower than Company of Heroes 2. And Company of Heroes 2 is like on the lower end of APM necessity to perform well in an RTS game. So, um, if so long as you can reach that ceiling, which is like not that high compared to other RTS games, then you're cooking and you can do things basically. So we've already started skirmishing down in the south here, and the middle has died down. We've replenished all our armor, cycling more troops in and out, and at one point after we make a slight breakthrough in the south, I'm gonna recommit the center again. So more cycling going on, some more skirmishers. He's committing his armor now. He overextends slightly, and then we get an encirclement. So there's a lot of micro going on down here, but whilst he's doing that, I go in for here, and we kill 2 tanks, and that basically gives me a massive advantage. Lots of good cycling going on here, all the way to the back cities and whatnot. Yep, you want to get the troops that have low health, put them in the cities. The ones with low morale, just keep them around. Like this tank right here, this is good cycling. So the low health dudes go to the city, and then the low morale dudes, you pull them off, you put them in the reserve. If just behind the line. So Steel, upon losing both his tanks, he starts to make big plays in the south, and he does not have enough to make the push. We are actually we have a numerical advantage here in the south, and he overextends. He overextends big time, and he loses these 3 lights here to encirclement, and that basically determines the southern front right there. No amount of cycling is going to be able to help him out this time because we didn't make the same mistake as before. We've kept up our builds, we kept our economy. And as I mentioned again in previous videos, you don't need to build that many troops because you can only supply so many troops. Each city can only supply up to 5 units on the map. So just as in the previous games, only 10,000 troops extra that you need to have a decisive strategic advantage. And it's the same case here. So, more encirclements in the center. He's overextending again. We get another tank. Our armor superiority is now through the roof. We outnumber him 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 4 tanks, but 2 of them in the rear. This guy is about to die. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we've got about 2-1 in terms of tanks, and all our tanks are all committed on the front right now. So it's a classic drawback between like, okay, are we gonna play logistically here, or are we gonna commit our combat power to the front? And that's the trade-off. If we have the combat power in the front and our opponent doesn't have, then we have an advantage. We could push, and then we can gain ground, and then ultimately you want to capture enemy city, and that way you get the trade-off. The trade-off works in your favor. The problem is that if your opponent is playing it, right, then in the long run, the logistics will pay off compared to the combat power that you commit to the front. This part comes down to basically skill. If you're talking about an RTS game, it comes down to skill. If you're talking about any other kind of game, like a turn-based game or whatever, then it will come down to strategy and operations. Which is what's so great about this game is that you can see both sides of such gameplay loops occur in this game. Despite the game being this ridiculously simple, it's just MS Paint, but the strategy game. You have all these different facets of strategy games, from turn-based to RT to real time. They all play out in this one simple stupid game, which it shouldn't. Like, there's no reason why this game should be able to do this, but others can't get that nuance going on. So that's the end of the second match. It's now 1-1, and in the next match, yeah, it comes down to all the marbles, the best out of 3. Whoever wins next one wins this whole little set of ours.